Labor Talks was John DeRosier, recorded at Chippewa Valley Community Television in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Hello, my name is John DeRosier. Welcome to Labor Talks. Today's special guest is Terry Hayden. Terry is sitting right to my left, obviously. And Terry is the business agent for the Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 434. Terry, welcome to Labor Talks.
Good
to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, John.
Now, what do you want to talk about?
Well, first, I guess I'd like to just tell you just a little bit about, who we are and what our organization is. I'm the business manager, financial secretary for Plumbers and Steam Fitters and HVAC Service Technicians, Local Union 434. Our geographic area that we cover in the state is roughly 30 counties in the state of Wisconsin. We go from Florence County over to Polk and St. Croix, and then diagonally all the way down to the bottom of the state to the Illinois-Iowa border, down to Grant County. The major cities that we pick up in that area are Eau Claire, obviously, that's where we are today, La Crosse, Wausau, and Wisconsin Rapids. Local 434 is a local union which is part of the United Association, and within the state of Wisconsin, there are 8 distinct different UA locals that make up what we call the Wisconsin Pipe Trades Association. My particular local, like I said, we represent plumbers, steam fitters, and HVAC service technicians, but beyond that, we also represent industrial pipe fitters, gas workers, and maintenance workers at a number of facilities, as well as some fabricators. Our local union has approximately 1,100 members, and rough numbers, about 90% of our members work under a multi-employer building trades labor agreement, and the remaining members work under either single employer agreements at various facilities throughout the state, as well as we do have some public sector workers within our organization. So I guess most of my comments will probably relate to those building trades workers working under that multi-employer agreement, because that's where a lot of our time and effort is spent.
Well, in that case, I think this will be what you call a sweeping question. It gives you lots of room. What issues are most important to you and to your union?
Primarily workforce development, training the future workforce, as well as job creation and industry in the state of Wisconsin. Those are the 2 things that really drive our business. Being primarily a construction union, we need to build things for our members to have jobs. And within our organization, and within our industry, I should say, we have a very close relationship with our employers. Our employers are truly our partners in our business. The union itself does not employ, other than an officer such as myself, really doesn't employ anyone. It actually takes our contractors to first bid and secure the work before our members have a job. And then our part of what we do then is we deliver to our employers the skilled, trained workforce that can complete that job on time and under budget. So we do outreach programs to high schools, tech schools, community job fairs, and we also do a veterans outreach program to create a fast track for veterans to actually come into our apprenticeship programs to develop that workforce. And then beyond that, we then train that workforce. The new individuals coming up through a 5-year apprenticeship program, but the training doesn't end there. Our industry is very demanding and requires advanced credentials and certifications, so the training continues as a journey worker, and we continue to train our journey workers and pre-qualify them, so when they hit that job site, they arrive there with the qualifications the employer needs, they're drug tested, and they're ready to go to work and know how to get the job done safely.
So you might see yourselves as a voc tech school graduation program.
Yeah, I mean, actually, many of our people that come into our industry will first go through a tech college program in HVAC service, welding, instrumentation, something similar, before they come to us. So they'll get some foundational skills. From there, we will train them to be journey workers in our trade. And to do that, our local union has 3 training centers throughout our geographical area that we own and operate. We have one here in Eau Claire, one in La Crosse, and one in Mosinee that serves the Wausau, Wisconsin Rapids area. And our annual training budget for training our people is just shy of $1 million each year that we invest in training our members, building the future workforce as well as the advanced training for the journey workers, for our contractors.
Seriously, that is amazing, because when most people think, including me, when we think of a union, we think in terms of the union is strictly there for wages, benefits, hours, safety conditions, but what you're doing is above and beyond that. You actually train people right on site.
That is correct. Our training schools, through our training schools, we provide all of the night school related classes for the plumbing, steam fitting, and HVAC service apprenticeship programs. We also pre-qualify our members, whether they be apprentices or journeymen, in rigging certifications, welding certifications, backflow prevention, medical gas installation systems. So there's it used to be, there was a point in time where welders, for example, would be tested out on the job site. Projects happen much too fast today, to where our contractors actually need the person to come out to that job site with the certification so they're ready to go to work. And one thing I have to mention, I mentioned our investment. Our annual training budget is roughly $1 million a year. That is all private money. It's our members' money investing in themselves and in their future workforce. It's not taxpayer dollars that fund our training.
I'm astounded. I really am astounded. Does this mean that now you provide plumbers training, correct?
Plumbers, steam fitters,
so
service technicians.
If I have a plumbing problem at my house, I can call your union and they can send somebody out?
Actually not. we serve our contractors.
I have a sense of humor. That's my sense of humor.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just joking because I don't want to get into any legal trouble here.
Right. But I mean, like I said, our contractors are our partners, and they depend upon us to provide them that skilled manpower. Otherwise, they're putting their necks on the line every time they bid and take a job. They're expecting us to deliver when we get to that job site. That employer can ask for one person or 20 people, and they're going to have them on the day that they ask for them.
Now, this leads me to my next question, because you talked about contracts, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Act 10. What is your reaction? What are your thoughts to Act 10?
Well, Act 10, we were certainly opposed to Act 10. We do represent public sector workers that work at the universities and corrections. And even if we didn't, we would have been opposed to Act 10.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, Act 10 is something that happened 4 years ago, and for the benefit of our members, we need to continually look forward and to address issues and procure work for our members going forward as well. Mm-hmm. So we've turned our focus, not that we abandon collective bargaining in the public sector. I mean, every person should have the right to have a union in their workplace. Mm-hmm. But for the benefit of our members, our focus is turned to building work opportunities for our members so they can continue to grow and work in the Wisconsin economy. Things such as iron ore mining in northern Wisconsin. That's high on our priority list. Enbridge expansion, the capacity expansion of the pipeline across the state. Our members actually will be working on those sites. The fracking industry has been huge to our contractors and to our members as far as hours worked in the past couple of years. And so we support consistent regulations across the state for siting sand mines and other mines. And we also support a strong state building budget so that There can be renovation projects and expansion projects at our universities so they can keep their world-class status and be the schools that we're all proud of.
Okay, now, in a nutshell, and I know I appear to be beating a dead horse here, but Act 10 has had minimal effect on Local 434. Is that correct?
That is true. That is true because, once again, the sheer majority of our members are private sector workers.
But you do feel obligated to ally yourself with public service unions.
We do. We have synergies that we have common interests. Of course, as organizations, we have differences as well. But we do have very a good number of synergies that we have in common. We do work together with our public sector partners through solidarity roundtables and other activities to where we communicate. A teacher or a firefighter, for example, will educate me how their union operates and what's important to them. Where on the flip side, I will convey to those individuals how we work as an organization, much like what we're talking about here today, so they understand the business side of our union.
Now, we've heard an awful lot of talk about right-to-work laws. And one of the things I've heard is that right-to-work laws will interfere with contracts between unions and their employers. What are your thoughts?
You're exactly right.
Have you ever known me to be wrong, Terry?
In the years that we've known each other, I guess not, John.
You don't know me very well, my friend.
But seriously, we agree with the governor. He has said repeatedly that right to work is a distraction that Wisconsin doesn't need. We should be focused on workforce development and jobs in the state of Wisconsin. We also support our contractors. You may have read it in the news. More than 300 construction contractors in the state of Wisconsin formed a coalition. You can look them up on the internet. It's wisconsincontractorcoalition.com. They formed a coalition to publicly come out and oppose right to work because they know that right to work would negatively impact their businesses and their business model in the state of Wisconsin. And so, yes, like you said, it's a violation of private contract rights. Right to work would interfere with contracts between employers and their employees. Our contract could certainly can be modified if our employers did not want security language in it or mandatory dues within the contract. That can be bargained out today. The employers could ask for that. But our employers don't want that simply because they depend upon us to deliver to them that trained, drug-free workforce.
Exactly.
And beyond that, we also jointly administer our fringe benefit package with our contractors. So it's the union reps such as myself and 4 of our contractors that make up our board for our health fund, our training fund, and our pension fund. And so for our members, they have portable benefits to where they can go to work for any of these contractors, and they're not starting over every time they go to a different employer. They're in the same fringe benefit package. For our employers, they don't have to go out and shop for health insurance or pension on the open marketplace. They simply tap into our fringe benefit package for not just our members. They can actually do it for their office employees as well if they choose to. But they don't have the need for that HR person to find benefits and administer benefits. As a union rep, I and my business agents are actually the main point of contact if a member or an employee of our contractors has a question with their health insurance or a question with their pension. The employer is not burdened with that. They actually come to the union for that. And so it's advantageous to our employers. That, and within our health insurance, speaking of that, and I don't mean to get off the right to work topic, but within our health insurance plan, we're a self-funded group. We have roughly 900 participants in our group, and all of their families and all the employers, roughly 150 employers, their employees that are covered under our health plan. And because we're a self-funded group, we're able to offer coverage at a rate more affordable than what they can buy on the open marketplace, which helps our contractors in their competitiveness.
Now, I have two questions I need to ask here. I read in the press that there is a group of businessmen who are getting together to oppose right to work. Is that group of businessmen those contractors you were just talking about?
That it is. It's the Wisconsin Contractor Coalition.
I'll be darned.
It's contractors statewide.
Sooner or
Wisconsin businesses, job creators in the state of Wisconsin, that are opposed to right to work simply because it will negatively impact their business model.
How about that? Now, this is an overlapping question, but I need to ask it anyway because I don't catch on that fast. And Mr. Purvis, who's standing right there, will confirm that. Most of your union members work for private industry, okay?
Correct.
So, that means they are not public employees. How does that affect your job as a business manager of UA Local 434? Does it affect it at all?
It does greatly. And we cover a big territory in the state of Wisconsin, as I described. And because of that...
May I interrupt? That means twice within the hour I've been correct. I'm getting pretty good.
So we cover a very large area within the state of Wisconsin, and because of that, I can't be everywhere at every point in time. So we have an assistant business manager. We have 3 business agents that are geographically spread out to serve our members. We have a full-time training coordinator that sets up, organizes, and structures all the training. I just took a look at our list, and in the Eau Claire area alone, in this spring semester, we've got 19 classes that are scheduled to run, and that's the same in Mosinee and as in La Crosse. So it's a very, very busy position that he's got. And then we have 2 full-time office professionals. So we as an organization, as a union, we're very much a business, and we're a staffing service for our employers, and so. To our members, to answer your question directly, to our members, they receive their training through the union, they receive their fringe benefits through the union, they receive their job placement through the union. So our members are very integrated into our daily operations. They depend upon us to help our contractors secure work, and then give them the tools and allow them to go to work on those projects.
Now, you've given us a very accurate description of your union, but I need to ask point blank, what does a business manager do? What do you do as a business manager for your local?
Business manager specific would be the highest elected officer within the local union. I'm responsible to run for election every 3 years to continue to represent my members. And so my daily duties vary greatly, but a majority of my time is spent either answering questions in regard to fringe benefits for our members or assisting our employers with their needs, where our business agents are more connected one-on-one geographically with members' job placement and their issues. Also work on many statewide issues, including legislative issues within our pipe trades consortium that would affect all locals within the state of Wisconsin and not just Local 434.
So obviously you're doing a lot more than just negotiating and signing contracts.
That's a part of our job.
I was hoping you'd say that.
We certainly negotiate, and once again, our relationship with our employers are such that we work daily together with each other. But a contract will expire 2 years, 3 years down the road, and it's up to us to sit down at that bargaining table and determine what the terms need to be going forward to fund the fringe benefit package to address the employer's needs. When we bargain those contracts, from the labor side, we're bargaining a total package number. And then if our health insurance increases, that health insurance increase must be paid through whatever was bargained. If our pension costs increase, that must be funded out of whatever we bargain. So the employers that we bargain with, we certainly talk about terms of the agreement as far as language, but when it comes to dollars and cents, we discuss total package costs. So when that employer is hiring one of our journey workers, they have a total package cost. And then the fringe benefit costs within that it's the responsibility of the union and the employees.
Now, in the past, there's always been turf battles between unions, say between private unions. Do you have any of that? Does any of that come into play now, or do you see more cooperation?
Oh, we always have a cooperative relationship with our brother and sister unions, and you know, I've talked a lot about who we are and what we do, but we're not a lot different than the other 15 or 16 building trades unions out there. They function very similar to what we do. But of course, there's jurisdictional overlap as far as work assignments, and you know, many of it, most of it, luckily, is very clear cut. But every now and again, there will be an overlap, and that's where we have to sit down as union representatives and work through those overlaps.
Now, is there any competition or alleged competition between your private service union and a public service union?
No. I mean, you mean as far as competition for the job itself?
Sure.
I would say no, because there are two different roles. For example, if I look at central Wisconsin, we represent industrial pipe fitters that work at Domtar Corporation and currently NewPage. They work daily for that employer under a single employer group. But there's also a good amount of capital work that gets done within those facilities. That's maintenance in nature or new projects. And that's where an outside contractor will be hired to come in and perform that work. And we represent those construction workers as well. So even though that they're very similar in overall responsibilities, duties on the job, there are differences in their contracts, but they are both members of our same union.
One of the reasons I asked that question is because union members have been described as thugs. We're recognized, or people see us as we're loud, we're obnoxious, we pound the table. That is an image that I just don't see. I don't see it anymore. And some people think that if you have one union in negotiations with another union, you have thugs at the table. Frankly, I think that's a bunch of crap.
I agree with you, John. And I'll just reiterate it again. We're business partners with our contractors. We depend upon our contractors for the work opportunities. We don't pound the table. We don't make threats. We actually spend more time talking about how do we grow together, because it's our mutual interest that we have in common. Of course, we're going to argue over nickels, and ultimately we get to a contract. But day in and day out, and even at the bargaining table, we talk about how do we grow together.
Okay. Now, frankly, I'm out of questions except for one last question here. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, I think I've
Feel
touched
free.
on any notes that I had. I guess I could expand just a little bit on that veterans program that we're involved in, that
Please
we're so proud of.
do that.
Our international union has run a program for a number of years called the Veterans in Piping Program. You can look it up on the internet, uavip.org, Veterans in Piping, VIP. For a number of years, we were a part of that program, sponsored by our international union, and held training right at Camp Williams in Camp Douglas, Wisconsin, training veterans to go into our apprenticeship programs. We were given a green light to create a modified program in the state of Wisconsin, which we rolled out late last year, and actually the second class is just about to take off. But what we have now developed is a classroom trade orientation that covers all of our trades, whether it's plumbing, steam fitting, sprinkler fitting, HVAC service. We give a broad overview at training centers such as the ones that we own and operate, or the ones that the other UA locals in the state of Wisconsin own and operate. So there's 6 of our organizations or local unions that work together on this program. The veterans we recruit and bring into the program. We train them through 6 weeks of training at our training centers at no cost to the veteran, and then place them with our employers. Our participating employers will then provide them with 12 weeks of on-the-job training to round out just some basic skills and knowledge that they need to have to then enter into apprenticeship. And then at the conclusion of that 12 weeks of on-the-job training, they enter into one of our 5-year apprenticeship programs and start their pathway towards becoming a journey worker in our industry.
Now, these are actual veterans on active duty?
These would be veterans that are either on active duty, they can be National Guard, reservists, or recently released military members.
Not bad.
It's
not bad at all.
It's great. The unemployment rate for veterans in this country is roughly 2 times that of the standard population. These are men and women that have served our country, and they deserve an opportunity at a better life and a piece of the American dream. And so to come into our industry, many times you're given a list of contractors and you're knocking on doors looking to get that opportunity. What we wanted to create, and with the cooperation of our international union and all the unions in the state of Wisconsin, the UA locals, we've created a fast track for those veterans to be selected, given basic skills training, and put into our apprenticeship program, so they're not stuck out in the cold knocking on doors looking for that opportunity.
Okay. Real fast, what has been the response from the veterans? Are you getting lots of veterans in your program?
We are, and we have a limited class size because at this point in time, because we need to guarantee placement, or we want to make sure we have placement with our employers. But response from the veterans. I had one female veteran who was in the class that graduated last fall, that became an apprentice. She was working as a welder in an industry and making adequate wages, but not really family supporting wages, and really no fringe benefit package. She graduated through our program, became an apprentice, and at her graduation ceremony, she came up to me in tears, and she said, "Whatever you do, you have to keep this program alive because it gives veterans like me hope."
Thank you. Folks, that's our program for today. My sincere thanks to Terry, and of course to our viewing audience, because without our viewing audience and without Terry, there'd be no program. Thank you very much. Terry, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invite, John.
Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cbctv.org.